Well guys, it's the video you guys have been waiting for a long time. The Cabover is back in the shop. We're back to working on it and we are in it deep already. And what I mean by that is all the parts that we had bought a while back for the back end, airbag, shocks, everything. Started to get into it a little bit and it's definitely a bigger project than I thought. I thought I was just gonna be swapping out some bags, put in some new shocks. Well, I'm finding more things to fix on this, so let's get into it. All right guys, if you haven't been following the channel for a while, this is my 1985 Peterbilt 362 Cabover, which we've done a lot of work to it. It's also got a 8-valve 92 Detroit 2-stroke diesel motor in here with a 13-speed. We've done a ton of work already from the ground up. We repainted this thing, put a new windshield in it. We got new chrome lights, LEDs all swapped out. We had to get a grill for it off of a trashed one. We got the handles that were missing from Cool Guy Back East. We put a new bumper on it because it didn't have any kind of Peterbilt matched up bumper. Done a lot of things, put fenders on it, put new front wheels on it. So if you haven't seen any of those videos, look back in our previous ones. But we are now finally getting into the rear end, which I bought parts for, so we'll take a look at it now. So this kind of all started the other day when I aired the truck up and the bags, which I knew were old and dry rotted, they finally blew a hole in the side of them. And we have 4 new airbags already that we had bought previously. We also got shocks that we're going to be swapping out. And lo and behold, what everybody's been talking about for a long time. How do you drive this thing in the rain? There's no windshield wipers. Well, there's no windshield wipers on here because I don't drive the thing in the rain because I haven't been able to drive it really yet because it's not done. I've been trying to get so much stuff figured out on it and bought a lot of parts, spent a lot of money, and then I had to park it because I had to keep working and make more money because this thing costs a lot of money, which maybe eventually I'll make a video on how much did I actually spend on doing all this because there's so many hours and labor on all of it. I don't even know how to figure it all out yet. But the one thing that I get comment on a lot is, what do you do in the rain? Well, there's no windshield wipers because I haven't put them back on yet. So we do have new ones, I just haven't put them on. So if I put it on and it just sits outside, those old, or the rubber on the windshield wipers is just gonna rot out and dry up. And so I just haven't put them on yet. But I do have them, so thanks for all the comments and concerns that I was driving in the rain with no windshield wipers, but I do have them, they're just not installed. So windshield wiper parts are there. Got a gasket for the air compressor. We got our 4 airbags and the shocks. So I started to tear one off and this turned into quite the project. Touched up the paint here where the airbag sits already. Because once I install it, I'm not going to pull it back off when I go to paint the frame and everything. So the cross member here, it sits just over the bolts for the airbag. So then you got to take this whole cross member apart to get it off of the top of the bolt, which was kind of a pain. There's 6 bolts, big ones here, and they were definitely old. And let's see, I snapped one of them. The bolts holding the bags in were pretty rusted up. This one was already snapped and that one stuck in the airbag. And then all these are just pretty old. So we're gonna get some new bolts, and these bags also sit on a plate, spacer plate, so clean that up and paint it. The bolt in the bottom of the bag, it actually came right out and undid itself when I tried to take it off. So yes, these things need to be changed out. Another reason why I'm not out here driving it yet. But I started to look at, as I was taking this cross member out, there's 6 bolts there, and then there's 2 up here for the lowboy ramps. Well, the lowboy ramps are steel. This is an aluminum frame, and I started to look at it. There is some corrosion in here, and I'm only 2 more bolts up there to take out. And then I got to pull off these other 6 on the other side already for this airbag. And then the 2, so I'm thinking that already halfway there. Now this turned into a bigger project. I thought I was just swapping out bags, but now I'm actually going to take off this ramp, slide, and that's the other thing. You got to take this cross member completely out because these things are welded in that kind of hold on to the frame for the low boy ramps. And so I got to slide that out to then slide this whole, ramp system off. And that's just the way this thing was made. Definitely looks like it's a custom piece. So we're gonna go ahead and take that all off, and then you can see that the paint's already coming off and starting to kind of corrode a little bit where the steel sits on it. So we're gonna go ahead and clean that up, repaint this back end of the frame. We're gonna go ahead and change out our airbags, and then we'll get to swapping out and putting the new shocks in here. And then this rear end part that I've been dreading for a long time will be done, and I won't have to worry about it so much. So I'm gonna go ahead and get back to taking out these bolts and getting to tearing out the other airbag, and eventually we'll go to the store, get some more hardware to put all new nuts and bolts back in here. And those that were wondering about what happened to the hay squeeze, it is still sitting in the shop here. It is all pretty much ready to go. We were down a compressor during the summer, and we got that installed the other day. So we do have a brand new air compressor for the shop that will allow us to paint this thing. It's just now too cold. It's been getting down into the teens at night, and it hangs around 30, 40 degrees in the shop, which is not ideal for painting. So the paint won't cure or dry efficiently. The shop's not heated, so we're gonna have to put this project on hold for a while until we get some warmer weather. So until then, this thing will just be sitting here waiting for some fresh paint in the future. And if you're wondering, this is the new Ingersoll Rand air compressor that we installed. It's a 120 gallon tank. We got a twin piston compressor motor, so it will pump out the air. And we can also run some other stuff that air tools and things that we weren't able to with our other one that was pretty much underpowered and not a big enough tank. So got this ready. So hopefully once it gets warmer, we can get back to painting. But for now, we'll get back to the truck. So if you've been following along on the channel for a while, we've been restoring this truck for, almost about 2 years now. The last year, it's been pretty slow working on it because I've been having to work on a lot of other projects and things that have come up. So the process of taking off the back end here and changing out the airbags and shocks has kind of been delayed for a while because I knew it was going to take quite a bit of work. So I held off, let's say. But as I started to dig into it, I was thinking that I could just get it off with some wrenches and breaker bar, and got one side of those bolts off. But then when I came to the other side, those bolts were just so rusted and stuck that I couldn't get it with the breaker bar. So I decided that might as well take off the wheels and tires and give myself some more room. It just was going to take a lot longer to get through all these things. And once I started to get these nuts and bolts out, that's when I discovered that this project is turning into a bigger project than I thought, and might as well just keep going because I'm a once and done kind of person to where I don't want to have to come back and tear this whole back end off again. I'm already here. I might as well just keep going. So instead of just changing out the airbags and fixing the air leaking problem that I was having, I am now taking all this stuff off so that we can get the back end all cleaned up, which eventually was going to happen, but it's just happening sooner on my timeline now. So once we got the bolts out, the 1-inch impact pretty much broke a couple of them off, but was able to take the other ones off pretty easily. Even with a 5-foot breaker bar, I couldn't move it. The 1-inch impact just zipped them right off. So after that, we had to take out the light brackets and mud flap holders, and pretty much everything was coming off just to get this ramp off, because the bolts all went through the frame. So all in all, it's a more of a bigger project than I anticipated, but as I started to go through it or think about it, I'm happy it's all getting done now than later. So we got the bolts all off, and now I'm just cleaning up a little bit around the frame and about ready to get set up to pulling this off. All right, so we got kind of a mess going on here, but we got the cross member dismantled. We got all the bolts out from the low boy ramp, and then as I started to take these off, there was a little bit of tension in here, and I snapped a couple more bolts, which they were pretty old and rusty. So we got the lights that were taken off because they were mounted through the side of the frame here, and then the mud flap brackets. The side here, we have our the plate protection of if it were to bottom out the suspension. There's this plate here. Again, this is steel, and then the frame is aluminum. I already had cleaned off the other side and done that before, and painted it and cleaned it all up to where it kind of gives that little layer of protection so it doesn't corrode. But as you can see over time, this one has done it on the other side. So time to clean this one up, paint both of these, and get that back to looking fresh. Popped out the other bolts on this side. So now we got the whole low boy ramp disconnected from the frame, and we're able to hopefully pull this and slide it right out. It's got these little saddles that are welded in here that kind of saddle the frame. So that's why we had to take the cross member completely out. But we'll hopefully be able just to slide that right off. And then we can clean up the back side of this frame, touch up paint, and kind of seal it all up again. And then paint the, low boy ramps. And then put the airbags, shocks in, and keep going. And we'll hopefully not take forever on this project, but it's getting there little by little. So let's see if we can go ahead and slide this out. that's not how it's supposed to go. Try. Stupid. Forgot I need to take the bracket off. So this will slide out. It's hitting right there. Oh. So I forgot I needed to take off these brackets so I could slide this out. More corrosion. Should be able to get it off now. Yeah, sliding out now. Wish I would have done that sooner. Dang it. Okay, should be able to get it off with our little forky now. So the little plates that were kind of saddled in the frame, those just popped right off. They were not really welded on that well, but should be able to just pick this thing up now. There's nothing really holding it in there. I just don't want to drop it. Maybe I just pick it up. some corrosion going on here. All right, we got some corrosion going on here. Yay. That's pretty thick. So we are going to clean all this off, but luckily, you know, it looks bad, but you peel that off, the frame is still really thick and intact, so not too worried. It just looks really bad and needs a fresh coat, primer, paint on there. It just, yep, doesn't look good at all. But we will clean all that up. But, you know, get that all done. Now we're got plenty of room to get in and out of here with the airbags, and we can probably get the airbags done, get these shocks done, and then slide the ramps back up here and put all that stuff back together last. Because, yep, we got some work to do. So, yay. Got quite the mess going on here, and we are grinding away, getting this frame cleaned up and getting all that corrosion. As you can see, it's kind of getting pitted in there, but we are cleaning this all off, and it's getting late, it's getting dark, it's starting to get really cold in here, so I'm gonna stop that for today. And we got some farm work to go do tomorrow. Start ripping up a field. It's really dusty in here, but we will get back at it, and probably maybe the next day. But whew, really dusty. Let me turn the fan on. We will go ahead and get back to work on this thing here shortly. But as you can see, the Cabover is back in the shop. We are back at it, and I get that rear end done and get all those airbags and the air leaks fixed there. We will go ahead and do a fluid change on this thing, and then I'm pretty close to feeling comfortable about taking it out on the road more and playing with it, because the rest of the stuff after that's done, it's all interior that I got left to do on the truck of what I want to get done. So we are almost there, but I know it's been a long time coming. So thanks for watching, guys. If you haven't done so, please subscribe to the CF Nevada channel. We got more Cabovers and stuff coming. I know you guys have been asked about the 73, the K100. Again, all those rebuilds and restoration projects take a lot of money and time. So I can only do so much, as I'm only one person working on all this. But if you haven't seen any previous videos on this truck, please go back and watch them. Thanks for everybody that has and commented on the channel so far. I really appreciate it, and we'll get back out at this truck soon. So thanks again, and I'll see you on the next one.